women believe is actually discrimination against women. I can talk about that. You can, but I don't think you could fully understand what women feel all the time and what we go through every day.
Thank
you. I don't know, it doesn't matter if it's a family matter or if it's a business matter or something else. It's just that we should be allowed to take responsibility for ourselves and bring decisions for ourselves.
Thank you so much for that. And please understand, I'm just trying to provoke thinking. I'm not saying one thing is right.
I didn't think anything.
And I would vote for my wife for president. I wouldn't vote for me.
That's okay.
No,
Mexicans are tough, so you know.
So truly, no. Adam, you wanted to say something. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No. This Theodora's thoughts were pretty inspiring. But what I wanted to add, what would happen in such a case where what's happening right now, that women are constantly playing by men's rules. And that is not the problem, but that is the case in many countries worldwide, where we are still living in a man's world. And that is one of the points, so to say, that are complicating our thoughts when imagining such a society from the beginning of this cafe.
Yes, I worry about my daughters, and that's why the broader question is, what role can each of us play in creating a world where there are just at least the same opportunities for women as there are for men, because there are still so many fields where in the US it's called soft discrimination. Women earn in the same field, maybe they can become engineers, but they earn much less money than men. Studies show it still today. They earn so much less money than a man who becomes an engineer.
I feel like what the system does is, we don't have the same opportunities, because even to make decisions, like women wouldn't feel that they can perhaps even leave a situation of violence because of the financial risks that implies to them and their children, for example, for one. And then I feel like the system also totally supports violence. It's just like, this is a private matter, you should be quiet. It's a taboo or shameful for one part, like women don't feel like they actually have a voice. But also the system, kind of protects the situation,
the status quo
in the men's ruling. Just like Adam was saying, it's like it's almost even impossible for us to think about it, because because it's been that way forever. And part of my what I wanted to ask about the question is why. I mean, I feel like to respond the question, we should ask why. I mean, what has created violence in the first place? And so then we can go about how to perhaps finding some answers on how to go about resolving it.
I was going to ask Barina she was going to be a civil engineer, and I was going to ask her what the situation is in Bosnia and Herzegovina regarding women in engineering. But
I'm so sorry. Could you please repeat the question? Because I have such a poor internet connection, and I had to turn off my camera, and I didn't hear Cecilia very well. So please, if you could repeat what you said.
It's so wonderful. There's only a few of you participating by video, and it's so wonderful to be able to see your gestures. And I know sometimes it's simply because the internet connection is terrible. But it makes such a difference to be able to see you, at least on occasion. Maybe you can flash on a video just for a tiny bit so we can see who you are. But Brina, I was wondering, in engineering in Bosnia and Herzegovina, what is the situation for women? Is there discrimination? Have you researched it?
I have done some research on that. And in Bosnia and Herzegovina, I would say the biggest problem that we are facing are the stereotypes that are towards women. So my colleagues are young, and we are just entering the working field. And a lot of them told me that they actually had problems with finding a job because the companies actually don't want female engineers. They think that we are less capable, that we are maybe more emotional, that we are not that good at the construction fields, and so on. So the majority of female civil engineers usually go to the sector of making projects, or maybe doing some calculations or something like that. So they usually don't go to construction fields to work on the construction fields. Even if they go, I've heard from a couple of them that they have a very hard time being there, and to have that authority, and that actually the workers kind of don't want to listen to them. They don't see them as a real authority, as someone who is an engineer, someone who is there to make decisions, someone that they should listen to, they should follow their commands in a way. So I would say that that's the biggest problem that we're facing here. When it comes to faculties, at my faculty, actually the majority of students are women. So maybe like even 70% of the students are girls, and 30% are guys. So yeah, it's kind of imbalanced, very, very imbalanced.
But is one of the reasons that you and the other students who are female are entering the field is to change things?
I'm not very sure about them, but I know that my biggest motivation to actually enter the engineering field was because a lot of people told me that I'm a girl and that's not a field for me or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm that type of person that if someone tells me that I cannot or shouldn't do something, that's probably the field that I'm going to enter, and that's probably where I'll be. So yeah, that was one of my biggest motivations, and yeah, but for them, I'm not very sure. I haven't discussed that with my colleagues.
Thank you for that. Would some other people who have not spoken yet, do they have some thoughts they would like to share? I can't see anybody except for those who have spoken, honestly. So it would be wonderful if those who I can't see also had something, except for Ella. Ella did write some thoughts down and spoke. Anybody else? Sabina, Esma, Amina, Zana, Emma, Iman?
We have a message from Amina in the group chat.
Can you read it?
Sure, just a moment. So Amina says, my name is Amina and I'm a student at the Department of International Relations and European Studies. When you ask the question of what would the world would look like if politics and everything else were run by women, what vividly came to mind was the Barbie movie that actually showed me what it would look like if only women ruled and were in positions while men were put aside. And the movie showed that this led to a rebellion of men. Oh, sorry, my message jammed. And the movie showed that this would lead to a rebellion of men. And it is very clear that such a thing would not be much better than a situation where men rule the world. Everyone who manages a system is always good at making decisions related to their group. For example, men, women, minorities. But in order for everyone to be equal, I agree with my professor Adam that we should be equally represented. As for violence against women, there are not enough good regulations for it because women are not tasked in the creation of those regulations. Violence is one of the issues that is constantly swept under the carpet, and there are always more important issues than that. I believe patriarchy is one of the main reasons why something does not change in this matter. Men, at least in our area, are taught from a young age that women are not smart enough nor capable enough and that they are too emotional. Mm-hmm. We are not working on educating men about these topics, and I think that is important. Thank you, Amina. It's very thoughtful and to the point.
That's beautiful. I honestly did not think we would be talking about Barbie. I've seen it twice.
We have two girls.
But even if we had two boys, so what? I even dressed like Ken when I went to see it. It's like everybody was dressing up in different things, and so it makes me these ideas of gender equality and violence are tied together. Clearly, as Cecilia was just alluding to, and I'm wondering what do we do as, I mean, none of us, I don't think, are really heavily involved in the, like we're not politicians, professional politicians. What do we do to change things so I don't have to worry so much about my daughters being victims of gender-based bullying? And also, though, one is almost an adult, of having the same kinds of opportunities that men have long enjoyed in open societies and in closed societies. What can each of us do to try to change things? Even in terms of just defining what gender equality is or can be, what violence against women is. Should women be the ones in the leadership positions or in some leadership? What can each of us do as just, ordinary citizens? Yes. See, I can see you. I can't see anybody who doesn't have a screen on. So I keep coming back to the same people. Go ahead, please.
I'm going to wave every time.
Yeah. Theodora, go ahead.
So, unfortunately, I don't think we can, as individuals, do much. But if every single one of us can make another person think of what is right and how to behave towards women, I think that we have done at least something for the society.
But can you give me some specific about that?
Well, not really. It's just that if I can talk about Bosnia and Herzegovina or the Balkans, not really about USA, because I have not been living in the USA or Mexico. But when it comes to the Balkans region, I can say that, for example, I could talk to a friend of mine or someone I'm not really familiar with. I could talk if I see that if I sense that their beliefs are not really nice towards women, I could talk to them and try to fix that. I mean, not really fix that, but to try to give them some maybe new information about why they're not supposed to think that way. So at least if every single one of us did something with the other group of people, I think we could make a little bit of difference.
Mm-hmm. What is the? I was doing some research before we began the Socrates Cafe in the last 2 days. There is some considerable femicide in your country, right?
Yeah, in Serbia as well. That's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so touched by these cases because I've been, I don't know, doing research and following.
Mm-hmm. Is there another comment?
It caught my attention as well.
Is there another comment? No?
Yeah.
See? No? No. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It caught my attention.
I hope people who are not speaking will at least write their thoughts. I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what were we talking about? I'm sorry.
You were saying about Serbia that they also have some cases.
Yes, thank you. Gracias. So basically, what I wanted to say is that throughout my while I was growing up, I've been following many cases of femicide in this region, and every time I'm shocked because one thing is that the femicide is happening. I mean, it's happening all around the world. But the other thing is that women, the system does not let women be protected here. Mm-hmm. And that's the main issue.
When you say the system, you mean the laws?
The laws in the country, and actually the corruption in the Balkans is not helping at all.
Okay. I see Adam nodding his head. I can't see others. I would like to hear from some others.
I'm gonna mute myself.
Oh, no, you don't need to. But what do we as ordinary citizens, what can we do as individuals, as banding together? You know, whether I live in the United States, these are issues that still resonate with me and that to different degrees we are facing in the United States. Can we form international groups? Would that help? What are some of your thoughts about that? Iman, what do you think? Oh, Berina has her hand up. I'm still trying to get some other people. Thank you, Berina. Berina, go ahead, please.
I would really like others to say something as well.
I can't make them.
But yeah, until then, I'll try to share my perspective. So I think that the most important thing that we individuals can do is actually to try to be as courageous as we can, to raise voice for the matters that are universally important. Because here in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have a problem that people are silent. So now there's a debate if they are silent because of some societal issues of the environment and of all of these things, or if they are deciding to be just silent. But I think if we all raise our voices, that the system would actually change, because the system is who we are. It's just a representation of us. We are the ones who can change the things and who actually have the power. We are the ones that make all the decisions, not the politicians. They are just a reflection of who we are. So I don't like when someone says that we as an individual cannot do much. If we educate ourselves, if we educate our small circle, then they would educate maybe other people. They would start some discussions, and we would kind of open our minds in a way, and we would try to change things. So that's how I see it.
Well, thank you. That's very beautifully and eloquently put. So the question I would like to ask that builds on that is how do we form a unity so we can sort of, even if we disagree some, on specifics. And I really like for some who have not yet participated to at least write their thoughts. How do we come together so that we are a powerful force? We're not just one individual, but we're a big voice instead of a voice that's scared because it's just one of us. What little steps can we take? Or do we have to take a big step? Does it take a catastrophe to bring people together? Iman, Sabina, Emina, Zana, I can't see you. Alma, Esma, Alma, Ahmed, Emma. Do you have any thoughts, please?
If I could maybe just add on to your question, like when you asked it just now, I was also thinking like, okay, how do we come in unity in the first place? But also once we come together, how are we heard by the other side? Because usually we see within these movements, even if people are joined together, if it's a local small group or internationally, it's always people who already are kind of on the same level and they share the same ideas, but it's very hard to reach this other side. So maybe I will just also add that question if somebody has a potential answer, because I'm still not sure personally.
Ceci, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was actually, but let me know if you can hear me, because I feel like last time some of you couldn't hear me. I feel that perhaps, I don't know. I mean, perhaps like starting with our significant others, the people that we feel closer, just try to articulate what our experience is, so that without again, I feel like last time I talked about this, I don't consider myself a feminist in the sense of beating others and being mad at men or things like that. I feel like the femininity and our creativity and many things, like all the things that we do to keep a household going and things are important. And that perhaps just like trying to create that awareness of the fact, because it's a fact that we don't have the same opportunities, just like in the job, even women who have professions and go out in the world, they don't have the same opportunities, and then they come back home and have to do the exact same things that they did even if they didn't have to work. So kind of raise that awareness and in a loving way, because I feel like that's part of being a woman, that we are able to understand and care, and not in an emotional way, like we are just like painted, but in a loving way, because of our sensitivity. And I'm not saying that men aren't sensitive. There's many men, particularly this, I know about this, that are super sensitive. And I feel like just creating that awareness and perhaps creating women's group where we can talk and start to speak up and getting that strength from one another. Like I see some strong women here who have spoken, and perhaps others don't feel that they have that ability, but like if we bond together and help one another to raise that voice, and invite sensitive men to our side, and then bring that voice into politics. It just and also minorities. We're talking about minorities, and I would include children in that minorities, that talk about not having a voice. We at least have some voice, but children don't. So I don't know. I feel like we're just like, that it's great that we have this opportunity even to have a forum. So how do we go the next step?
Yes, Ahmed. You have to unmute. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. My, so 1 second. Hopefully you can see me.
Yes, hello.
My internet disconnected a few times.
Yes, I'm so
that's
sorry.
Why I keep it a bit less intensive for my internet. I just wanted to say that it also, I think, the unity is a question of culture and dependent on the area in which someone was raised or born. Because personally, I think in Balkans, for example, it will be way harder than in the Western countries like France or England, because they have quite rich history in gatherings and revolutions where they took big, massive unifications with one another and made changes through their country. While the Balkans, they were mostly under a strong, powerful leader who would just make decisions for them. Examples can be like Russian Tsars, or throughout history we had Ottoman Empire, we had Austro-Hungarian Empire. So that's one of the biggest, I think, like influences that is in the unity. And I would give one example on how we could possibly make unifications throughout these communities. One could be maybe like, because we have rich history, we are also bound together by one another. We are quite culturally diverse. We have a lot of connections, like we have a lot of friends, we have a lot of relatives throughout the countries and places, and we could maybe like through education and just speaking out, we could maybe spread awareness and possibly make one big change or something in that way.
And thank you so much. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, Ahmed?
Well, I was born in Tuzla here and raised in Krajina pretty much. And now I'm studying at International Birch University, International Relations. So I'm stationed in Sarajevo.
And what is your goal?
Well, personally, my goal, I have a strong, let's say, desire for international relations, and hopefully one of my goals is to become a solid diplomat. But we'll see.
That's wonderful. You spoke about the Ottoman Empire. I'm going to write the name of the island where my family's from so you can look it up. Here we go, Nisyoros. And my new book is about my family. But so the little island that my family's from, it's less than 1,000 people. It was constantly being conquered by the Ottoman Empire. It's a jewel, And then Mussolini's fascists conquered it. And that's when my yaya, my grandmother, left to come to the United States because she was not even allowed to teach. She was a teacher. She was not allowed to teach in the Greek language. She had to teach Italian. So when she came to the United States, she came as an Italian citizen with Greek ethnicity because her island had been conquered. And so all the traditions, the matrilineal traditions, everything was lost. It was gone. She hated the United States. She missed her island. She missed her culture, her heritage. But so she became the first Greek teacher in the Tampa Bay region of Florida teaching Greek heritage and culture because she couldn't go back. It wasn't safe, you know? And so here I am, 52 years after she's died. You know, I was very influenced by the matrilineal aspect of things. The other influence for me was Martin Luther King. His birthday of January 15th was my half birthday. My birthday's July 15th, but he always, you know, many people start, you know the term lone wolf? You start out just a voice in the wilderness, one person. And then, you know, people, sometimes you say something and it speaks to people in unexpected places, many, you know, genders, ages, many different political perspectives. It still speaks that everybody should have a right to be heard again and again and again, and to have real influence in civic life and political life. But he's the reason that, primary reason I'm doing what I'm doing now. And so when there was such great division and polarization in the United States, I just had to ask myself, can Socrates Cafe, like what we're doing now, can a little group like this, can it make a difference? Just being able to do this, does it make us maybe give us a little bit more courage to reach out to other people and to try to not just be as one voice, but to, you know, look at the issues that are most important now and to find other people that we can speak to. Does that make sense? But that's
yes,
what.
Yes. It can be also like an example of one dot making a whole page turn.
Thank you so much.
There are a couple of.
Yeah, we have comments now. Who's going to read them, Ceci or Ilana? Who's going to read them?
I can read them.
Okay,
I'm
please.
ready with the microphone.
I can't see. I have cataracts.
Okay, so the first message is again from Amina, and she said, as ordinary citizens, we can get involved in the work of certain non-state actors who have influence when it comes to this topic. There is always activism as an option. However, I think that this is by no means enough, and that, first of all, the entire discourse on gender roles must change, and that children should be brought up differently from birth, both men and women. And when there were cases of femicide, there were certain protests that did not lead to anything. If you want to take a step forward, securing greater punishments for example, violent people, these protests must be much bigger and stronger. I think the reason that this does not happen is still insufficient education and awareness of the problem. Also, people are silent because it is not their problem or because they're simply afraid of the system. And maybe I read all the messages and then we can discuss it. And the next message is from Sabina. She says, good evening, ladies and gents. Your energy is so nice and calming. Safe, thank you. Please forgive my silence and non-visible presence. It is hard to be honest in front of those brilliant young ladies. You are amazing. Just one thing, I did so much for you girls, so you don't stop. Greetings and love to you all. And then we have a YouTube link that I think we can all save it for later or check it out. And yeah, Adam had to leave us. So we have a more message from Sabina and one kind of reflection from Amina. And we have a message from Ella, who says, I agree with Ahmed that in our country, it often takes tragedy to unite us. But unfortunately, even those moments quickly lose momentum, as seen in the recent protests following the femicide cases. To address this issue, we must prioritize providing sustainable resources to social groups and organizations dedicated to fostering open dialogue in our society. Additionally, we need more politicians, regardless of gender, who will advocate for the protection of victims of violence. Legislative change is essential for meaningful progress. P.S. I have tried to fix my microphone. I would like to participate, but there is an issue. No worries, Ella. Your message is quite enough, and maybe we will have more luck on the next chance. So yeah, we had 3 reflections.
That's
I think
wonderful.
For the closing of this ceremony, we can kind of reflect on what they have raised. And thank you for your input.
Oh, those are such. I thank everybody so much for sharing that. It makes such a big difference for our conversation. Does anybody have some thoughts in relation to what has been shared in writing?
Maybe I could just add a bit of context to you, Christopher,
Yes,
and then
please.
Theodora can take the word.
Yes.
So when we had these femicide cases in Bosnia in the past year or so,
Yes.
every time, like a day or two later, there would be a big protest, and it would not just happen in capital Sarajevo. They would be organized in smaller communities, in bigger towns, smaller cities,
Right.
and again, it would just they would kind of be organized and pass, and again, there's nothing happening until the next femicide happens.
Right.
So yeah, that was just a bit of a context for you of the
Well,
protest
no,
that you mentioned.
what you're saying reflects the situation, for instance, in Mexico. There have been massive protests led by women in the streets of Mexico City. They come from all of the states. The president of Mexico, who right now is a male, he leaves the city when the protests take place. He doesn't care. And to make it even more insulting, you know what he does?
Protects the monuments.
He puts these big barricades around the monuments, as if and I argue, the monument is the women, flesh and blood women. He puts them around. He puts them around these statues. Oh, they can't put graffiti on the monuments. That's all he cares about. So it can get, and then there's massive police presence, massive. So they have the protests, hundreds of thousands of people come, and nothing changes. So, but instead of feeling resignation, I can't. I have 2 daughters. I have a wife. And me. I mean, I don't want to be part of a violent, even if I was a male, single, and no children, I would want to be part of something that takes risks to change this, because there's no future if this doesn't change. So it seems to me like we can combine these same problems in your country with other countries. What do you think? I see some head nodding from those I can see. Verena, and I think, Theodora, you were going to say some other things anyway.
Or whoever was sneaking in.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for the interruption. It was my boyfriend and he wanted to say hi.
Hi, boyfriend. Let me see him. Tell him to come back.
We want to hear what he has to say.
I want to hear what he has to say. Come back here. Don't you go away.
He got me into here, so.
Yes. Professor Adem Olovcic called me because of Socratic Cafe, and then I called my fiancée because she loves the subject. I'm more of a freedom subject.
Well, tell me about yourself.
Currently, we live in Sarajevo. I'm master in international relations and economic diplomacy. Undergraduate studies I finished here in Sarajevo, and that's where I met Professor Adem Olovcic. He was teaching.
Ah, okay. But what can you do and what can I do to make the situation better for women?
We can love them. That's what I do.
That was you.
But how do we change the system? Just a voice here and a voice there? A male voice?
I think that we should individually change ourselves, and in that will create the domino effect, which will affect the system. If everyone becomes a better person in that area, in that case, it is a byproduct of individuality being a better person for a whole society. That's my point of view.
Oh, thank you
But
so
I gotta
much.
go.
Okay, but thank you for that. I'm glad I caught you just in time.
It's an honor.
Thank you so much. I'll see you again, I hope. Do you want to?
And let me just add something. I think that we should make a system in which women are protected. Because if, for example, we have laws in the Balkans area, we have. I'm so sorry. We have laws, and by laws, women are protected. But that doesn't mean that we actually use these laws. So, because of the corruption, which takes a huge. I'm so sorry, he's interrupting me.
I'll tell him to come back. Come back.
Yeah. He's coming back.
Come back.
Women are protected, the fact that they are not. That's not what it is, and I like this phrase.
Well, see, here's the other thing, though. We can have beautiful laws, magnificent laws, but unless they're enforced.
That doesn't unfortunately mean anything, because we do have something written, but still it has no effect on our rights. And we can see that by these femicides that have been happening here, which we do not see the culprits. And the culprit is a whole system, not just the individuals.
Yeah, I mean, every school system in the United States now has bullying rules, very strict. And we're going to go into this more next week about social media, next month. And yet, cases of bullying, especially against females, is soaring. And quite often, schools are institutions that basically cultivate bullying, starting with the director.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting, but isn't this supposed to be like you ask a question and then we answer with a question, and then the next answer is the wider question and question on question on question, which is supposed to be the Socratic method of discussion.
All right, thank you.
We simply answer the question.
Yeah. There's many versions of the Socratic method, and I write my doctoral dissertation about it.
Yes, I know. That's why I asked, because I want to know.
Yeah. So we can talk about that sometime. Yeah. That's one version.
Because I was attacked by my professor. You should answer with the question.
Right. So thank you. Good.
I actually wanted to thank Sabina for your message, Sabina, because I feel like sometimes we don't feel that our voice is heard or strong enough. And I also, Adam left, but I also like his honesty. I just really appreciate. I feel like that's the first step, like to say, I can't imagine politics run by women. Just like I feel like that first awareness and honesty is like a first step to, moving on, finding solutions. If we are not aware of what is happening. If we can't imagine, have that imagination of seeing things differently, we can move forward. So I really appreciate those comments.
Yes.
Thank you. I think we should be wrapping up.
Okay.
So maybe if anybody else wants to kind of make a closing statement, or if Christopher wants to do it, you are free to do so. And I would just emphasize that we will again have this session at the beginning of the next one. So there will be 2 additional sessions. So if you want to, progress this conversation the next time, or if you want to invite some other friends, and we will send you more information.
Yes, I think that, first of all, it's such a gift to be able to do this. And, maybe based on Theodora's boyfriend's question, I should send you an essay, because there's many versions of the Socratic method. And I argue that some are more legitimate and helpful than others. But I'm not a neutral party. And I think that's one of the reasons that our Socrates cafes around the world exist for many, many, many years, is because it's different than other versions of the Socratic method, that we're all in this together, and that I'm not just some neutral person, question, answer. It means that leaves me feeling empty, honestly. I'm in this to change the world, starting with my world, and you help me. You open my eyes and mind every day Ceci does. So what I would like is, I think that it would be wonderful if we could establish maybe a little like conversation group, informal, that we could stay in touch with each other in the spaces between our formal Socrates cafes. So we could share, like, here's a group, local, international, doesn't matter, that's doing things that we might want to be involved in, or at least know about. So Ivana, I'm wondering if we can create something so we can stay in touch with each other in the month between the next dialogue.
Yeah, I was just typing my email in the group chat. So maybe you can email me tomorrow, send me your contact information, and then I can set this up.
That would be
let me just
great.
check if I typed in the right email.
Yeah, we're still learning.
Yeah,
And
we found that, well, I found that private Facebook groups, if everybody uses Facebook, I don't know if they do, but I mean, that's a platform that I know that you could create a private group that is, safe because there's, that same safety of certain rules and behavior and that is expected. So
it would be great if some of the participants from the first one also were made aware that we're going to try to stay in touch, because next time we're going to look. People might also want to send to us our group like instances of social media violence on social media, because we're going to explore that next time.
Yeah.
So
I actually saw that that's what happened, right? That there was like a feminist site that was live.
A live stream, on Instagram.
So, well, thank you so much, and I hope we can stay in touch in the space in between. And I'm so excited to see you next month.
Recording stopped.
Thank you. And just because we mentioned Facebook now, so when you email me, you can send me your Facebook profile, your telephone number, and then we will see which we gather more, and then we will see which medium is the best. So
thank you
all
so
for
much,
participating.
Everybody.
Even if you are listening, that was also very beneficial for us. And thank you, Christopher and Cici, and thank you for taking the morning time to dedicate it to us. So hopefully we will see you the next time, and I hope you enjoy.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was great.